So, with this, moving ahead, now it's time to listen from Ms. Shalini Satsangi, ma'am. Ma'am, I hope you are there.
Yes, I'm
Okay,
there. Am I
okay.
audible?
Yes, ma'am. So we welcome you and we are eager to listen from you, ma'am. There is a lot to tell about you. I'm trying to just say a few words about your career, about your achievements. You are Shalini Satsangi, ma'am, who is an accomplished educator with over 2 years of experience. You are holding an MA in psychology from Punjab University and a BA. She has organized events like PsychoQuest and established psychology labs in school. That is, which is actually new for me. First time I'm hearing that psychology labs in schools. Nature enthusiast. She promotes eco-friendly behavior, winning the Best Eco Club in Charge Award in 2023. Congratulations, ma'am. And you advocate inclusivity, guiding students in case studies on special needs children and organizing interactive activities also. She also serves as a CBSE assistant head examiner for psychology. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us. Now let us listen from you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words. I'll just try and share my screen. Please let me know if
Just
the
Shalini
screen is
madam, just I
visible.
want to add one
Give
thing.
me a second.
He is having 11 years of
Yes, sir.
experience and not 2 years of experience.
Yes, sir. I noticed that, but perfectly fine. We keep learning. So, yes, our experience keeps adding on.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just try and share my document server. Yes, is my PPT visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so yes,
You can see.
thank you, Anil sir, for this opportunity. And the topic that I've got is so crucial that I'm just thinking that after such a nice presentation with so many videos and interactive session, I'm just thinking hopefully my session would not seem to be a little boring. So I hope I'm also able to live up to that standard that has been set off by the very first one. So let us start. This topic that I've got, that is thinking skills. We all know what is thinking, and we all know that how we utilize it in our classrooms, how we utilize it in our every day to day life. But a very simple process or a skill sometimes seems to be so taken for granted. We do not pay much attention to it, thinking ये तो ठीक है, चलता है, ये तो सबको पता है, इसमें क्या खास है. But yes, we need to harness this in our students. And sometimes, as teachers, I would say guilty here myself. We try to finish our syllabus. We try to say that okay, my to-do list is done, everything I've ticked marked that okay, I had to do this activity, this syllabus, this practicals, and this and all. And many a times we overlook a very important skill that we need to teach to our students, and sometimes we also ourselves need to keep using it. Thinking being a skill, we always say that our mind becomes as sharp as we want it to become. If we let ourselves go, if we get into a dull zone, we stop using our brains and our mind, and we do not want to utilize it to a higher order thinking skill, then that is how our mind becomes. Our body, our mind, everything, our lifestyle keep getting adapted to how we want it to be. So thinking skill is something that you need to work on specially, because if it is not something that comes as a curriculum, curriculum that it needs to be done. It is something that we will have to work on and add it to our curriculum on a proper agenda basis. That okay, yes, today let me see, did I give a higher order thinking skill question or not? Did I actually make the effort? Because what we do, 35 to 40-minute lecture, we go there, 5 minutes attendance, telling the children to take out the books, take out this page number, let us start for today. And then in the end, 5-10 minutes go into recapitulation and all taking notebooks, giving them deadlines and other things. So we feel कि okay, ये सब कुछ कर लिया हमने and thinking skill के ऊपर हम work करना रह गया. So let us first try and understand what is this thinking skill that we really need to work on. So these are 8 essential critical thinking skills that we need to develop. Critical thinking is basically essential. Why? Because in our everyday life, in higher education, or when we get into a professional setting, critical thinking is what is going to take us one step ahead of others in our country, especially like in India or places where the competition is so high. You need to be one step ahead. You need to have something more and something better than others to be able to actually shine, to be able to form some base for yourself, right? So what is this critical thinking? According to the Foundation for Critical Thinking, it defines critical thinking as the process of conceptualization, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation of information. So we conceptualize information, we absorb that information, we recognize, okay, this is what is the information that has been given to us. Conceptualizing also means to listen to it, to understand what it is. That is conceptualization part. Being aware of the information, the very first step is conceptualization. Then you analyze that information with your already present information. You analyze that, okay, this is more that what I'm learning from what I had learned earlier. So you analyze it with your previously existing information. You synthesize it. You bring both your information, the present and the past information, together, and then you evaluate the information, whether it is good, it is bad, it is useful, it is what changes need to be brought into it. So this whole process of conceptualizing, analyzing, synthesizing, and then evaluating the information is what is critical thinking. Now coming to the first of the steps, like I said, 8 essential critical thinking skills. So the very first one is analytical thinking. Analytical thinking involves identifying the pattern and the trends in the data. So there is information that has been presented to you. You analyze what pattern and what is the trend in this data. It is an increasing trend. Like for example, I have been presented with a graph. So in this graph, what is the information? What kind of a graph is it? Is the graph showing a linear equation? Is the graph showing a downward trend or an upward trend, right? So you analyze that data. Second is breaking down the complex issues into manageable components. There are a lot of times that long information is presented to us and we get boggled down कि इतना सारा डाटा ये कैसे समझेंगे, इसको कैसे सीखेंगे, पहले इसको हम समझेंगे कैसे, right? So पहले उसको break down करना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. So let's break down things like simple. We break down our phone numbers also. Like you have a phone number to dial. You need to learn a phone number. You need to learn a bank account number. You break it down into parts. That is called as chunking. So you break it into 3, 4 parts, like 9815744361. So you are breaking it down into manageable components. Then you go on to recognizing cause and effect relationships. In every data, every information that is presented to you, there is a cause and there is an effect. Something that is leading to it and something that is going to be the output of it. So analyze that cause and effect relationship in the data that has been presented to you. You see a child being notorious in the class. What is the cause for that? Why is the child notorious? Is the child notorious because they are seeking attention? They have a attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. They are just having a behavioral problem, or they are having some major issues that they are masking in terms of this notoriousness? Is there something that is actually troubling them that we are not identifying? So identify the cause and then identify the effects of that particular information. So you recognize that data. And then finally, you evaluate the strength of the arguments and the evidences. So you have the data, you have the arguments for pros and cons, for and against. You analyze the strength of those arguments, that what is stronger, the pros or the cons, and then you analyze it with the evidence that has been printed to you, right? So that is analytical thinking. So a lot of analysis is involved. The second critical thinking skill is open mindedness. We all need to have an open mind to be able to get the information. Sometimes we feel I know it all. मुझे पता है कि क्या करना है, मुझे समझ आता है, ये मुझे क्यों समझा रहे हैं. For most of the things, like all these lectures that we are having, 50 hours compulsory workshops, and especially when something is made compulsory, it becomes a burden, and when it's a burden, we don't enjoy it. So but the thing is that if you are not open minded, if you are not ready to change, if you're not ready to learn, and you're not ready to bring in the change that is happening according to the trends, you will fall back. You will not be able to live up to the trends that are going on, and you will somewhere be lost. For example, there are so many AI tools. Are we learning those AI tools? Are we thinking that ChatGPT ये तो एक चीटिंग करने का तरीका है? नहीं, ChatGPT से हम बहुत कुछ सीख सकते हैं, अपने आप को improve कर सकते हैं, अपनी content writing improve कर सकते हैं, कितनी information सीख सकते हैं. So why are we closing our minds to it? Everybody thinks ये AI बहुत dangerous है, ये तो हम पता नहीं क्या करेगा, हमारे students का, हमारे बच्चों का दिमाग खराब कर देगा. नहीं, हमें भी सीखना होगा ताकि हम जान सकें कि इसका क्या cause or effect hai, how important it is. And if we do not equip ourselves with these tools, we are not going to be able to understand what is happening with our students or with the present generation. And if we do not understand that, the generation gap keeps on increasing. So have open mindedness, the willingness to understand new things, the ability to understand, to have judgments, to let go of your judgments. Sometimes we have those prejudices in our minds. ये चीज ऐसे ही होनी चाहिए, ये ऐसा क्यों है, ये ऐसा क्यों है. So if we do not let go of our judgments, we do not work on the evidence that is provided to us, we are not going to have all the information. And again, as I say, we will fall back and we will not be able to go on with the present generation. And that is a very important thing. Next is receptiveness, being able to receive that information. हमें लगता है कि अगर हम दूसरे की बात सुनेंगे तो हम अपने व्यू पॉइंट के साथ स्टैंड अप नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, हम एसर्टिव नहीं हो पा रहे हैं, हम रिसीव कर लेंगे. तो अगर हमने चेंज कर लिया तो क्या हम गलेबल हैं? लेकिन एक गलेबल होने के बीच में और रिसेप्टिव होने के बीच में डिफरेंस है. बीइंग गलेबल मीन्स जस्ट लिसनिंग टू व्हाटएवर द अदर पर्सन सेज एंड नॉट हैविंग योर ओन व्यू पॉइंट. What we are saying is have your own viewpoint, but be receptive to newer changes, to criticism, to feedback that is being presented. Have flexibility in your beliefs, keep updating your belief system, and keep on adding new information. The next is problem solving, what we all are constantly, so many problems that keep coming to us and we keep dodging those problems. But dodging the problem is not going to help. We cannot dodge the bullet all the time. We will have to face it. We'll have to find a solution to that problem, right? So clearly define what is the problem, gather information related to that problem, that how I can deal with it, brainstorm all the possible solutions. Brainstorming is trying to find all the possible solutions to this problem, and sometimes not depending only on your own brain. Talk to people, consult with them. You do not have all the solutions, so ready to talk to people and consult them as well. There are people with more experience and they can guide you, so be open to that as well. So brainstorm all the possible solutions, evaluating the pros and cons of each of the option before choosing an option and making it so automatic कि ये प्रॉब्लम है ये सॉल्यूशन नहीं. पहले analyze what is this problem, these are all the pros and these are the cons of my solution, what should I go on. First have all the options, all the pros and cons, and then take your decision. Then implementing and monitoring the chosen solution. Many a times we find solutions, we go up to this step, but then implementing being so difficult to do, sometimes we let go of the problem and we feel कि अब इससे ज़्यादा नहीं कर पाएंगे. But if you do not add, the main thing is performing, being able to actually utilize that information, being able to work on it, right? So it is very important that you implement your chosen solution, and then reflecting on the outcome. Ki, this is what I had chosen, this is what has happened as an outcome of it. Now in the next time, when the problem comes, what should I do and what I should not do. So you must adjust the solution according to the problem as it is going on. Do not think that this is the solution I had found, now I will work on this only, I will not bring about any changes. Now it is not possible to change. Why not? Be open. There is nothing that says कि इसके बाद changes नहीं आ सकते. Maybe on your final day of the annual functions and all, you might feel ki this is not going on well, the entry of this person should not be from the left side of the stage, it should be from the right side of the stage. Do not feel ki I cannot make that change. Be ready to adjust if necessary. Sometimes bringing in changes at the last moment is not very nice, but if required, we should not find it very difficult to do that. The next one is reasoned judgments. When you make judgments, first of all, a judgment is something that happens as a very automatic process. But when we take judgments, we must do all the reasoning that is behind it, right? Do not make your judgments without any rational. Right. So, first thing is objectively gathering and analyzing the information. You get the information, you gather information, and then you analyze it. Be objective. Do not let your subjectivity, your own biases, your own preferences influence your information gathering and your analysis about it. Evaluating the credibility, that the information that I have got, is it a credible information? Is it from a proper resource or not? And then the relevance of it. Is it relevant enough to my problem, my solution, my current situation or not? So credibility and relevance. Next is considering the multiple perspectives before drawing any conclusions. There are a number of ways in which we can have an outlook towards this particular problem. Before giving our judgments, we must think of all the multiple perspective, all the different ways of looking at it, and then come to certain conclusions. Making decisions based upon logical inference and sound reasoning. When you are making any decisions, base it on some rational, on some logic that is behind it. The logic should not be just because I liked it or just because I think so, right? Have some logic inferences and a very sound reasoning. The reason should be good enough. Why do you buy a new pen for exams? Not because it is good luck and I should be able to get better marks. You buy a new pen so that your older pen does not stop in middle and your handwriting doesn't get bad. Yes, teachers, am I audible? Friends?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, so now going on to our next skill, that is reflective thinking. So, reflective thinking is reflecting upon, like, for example, somebody comes and tells me as a friend or as a teacher that I am very stressed and I don't think I can study for my exams at all. And I'm thinking of how to not give the exam or how to be able to cheat in the exam, and maybe, right? So now, when I am trying to help my friend, I would reflect on this thinking of this friend and I would probably tell them like, okay, so you are telling me that you cannot prepare? Are you telling me that you want to cheat because you are so stressed? Are you really so stressed that you are ready to take a wrong step? This is called reflection, wherein somebody says something and you paraphrase it and reflect it back to them. So sometimes this reflection does not come from others. This reflection is what we need to do on our own. We think of something and then we reflect upon it once again. What would that be? To critically examine that, right? So now, what are the important points? First one is critically examining one's own assumptions and cognitive biases. Cognitive biases means when we have a way of solving a problem in a particular manner. We feel कि यही तरीका हमारे लिए सही रहेगा, हमें ऐसे ही चलना चाहिए. But no, we cannot be fixed. When we have a fixation, when we do not want to think about other possible outcomes, then we are not critically actually thinking and examining our all assumptions. We are just going with the flow that we have been doing earlier, right? Considering diverse opinions and perspectives, like I said earlier, that always have more and more options in front of you. Think of the same problem from different perspectives. Like, if this is the problem, what must the student be thinking? What is my management thinking? What am I thinking? What are my parents thinking? What is my family thinking? So from this particular problem, how are different people viewing this problem? And when I think from the mind of others, I come up with newer solutions and newer viewpoints. Then synthesize the information from various experiences and sources. We have multiple experiences in our life, but our experiences are not enough. There are people who are much more experienced and they have probably mastered a particular area. We are sometimes master, we say jack of all trades and master of none. But there are people who have mastered themselves in an area. So pick up those sources, talk to them, get information from those sources. Applying the insights, you get a lot of information, but you need to apply that as well. हमें कई चीजें बताई जाती हैं. For example, छोटे बच्चों को सिखाया जाता है that do not touch sockets, do not go near the fire or something. But if that information is not applied, which they always want to experience on own, फिर हम कहते हैं ना कि अपने हिसाब से करके तभी समझ आता है. जब अपने आप बीती है तब पता लगता है कि एक्चुअल में क्या कहा जा रहा था. So we do get insights, but if we do not apply them and we do not try to improve our future decisions, then how are we wise? We are not wise. We are getting insights, but we are ignoring it and then taking any decision that we feel like, right? So apply those insights and improve your decision making process. Continuously evaluate and adjust one's thinking process. Our thinking needs to be broadened. We need to broaden our ways of thinking, of getting the information and analyzing it from various perspectives. So be ready to adjust your process. Next is communication. As my friend earlier in her presentation said, how communication is such an important aspect of our social skills. Communication is also a very important aspect of our thinking. Because how do we think? We think based upon our concepts. हमारे कॉन्सेप्ट किस बेसिस पे फॉर्म हुए? बेस्ड अपॉन आवर लैंग्वेज. सो लैंग्वेज इज द बेसिस फॉर कम्युनिकेशन, बट लैंग्वेज एंड नॉन वर्बल. सो इफ वी आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड लैंग्वेज, इफ वी आर नॉट एबल टू express our ideas clearly, how can the other person understand, right? So like sometimes if we watch certain shows on Netflix or some other foreign language, we do not understand, we do not realize what is going on over there, because they talk very quickly and then they have that accent, so we do not enjoy that, right? So similarly, if you are very quick and nobody understands your language and you are not able to change your language according to your audience. If my audience is Hindi speaking, why should I speak in English? If my audience understands English, why am I speaking in Hindi? And sometimes if my audience does not understand complex terms, I should simplify simplify my terms. So you need to adapt your communication style according to the audience. You need to be active listener. We all listen, but are we active listeners? Are we listening carefully? Are we reflecting upon what the person is telling us? So clearly express, listen actively, adapt your communication according to the audience, and be constructive, constructing and delivering the persuasive arguments. Next is research. When we are trying to analyze information, the very basic point is research. अगर हमारे पास research नहीं है, information is not available, then how can you analyze that information? How can you take a decision before having adequate information with you? So research on a particular problem as much as possible. We do so much of research on Google these days. For example, even my daughter, who's just 7 years old, she asks me a question. She says, Mama, how many planets, how many dwarf planets? I sometimes tell her, go check on Google. So she does that. She knows how to go onto Google, do a speaking research, because she doesn't type everything. She just switches on that mic and she speaks her problem. She's doing that research. I tell her to go check your book that I got you on planets. Go check, ask your nani. So I am telling her to do her research so that she has the exact information. I do not want to present her with wrong information, because a lot of research, a lot of information keeps getting changed every time. There's so much research that is continuously going on. So instead of providing wrong information, we should research from different resources and then compile our information. So research involves identifying reliable and relevant source of information, going on to Google and just believing it, you going on to YouTube and watching videos, or on Instagram they say कि ये कर लो, ये उपाय कर लो, ऐसे कर लो. No, are they reliable? Is it relevant? Is it something that I should be using without further analysis of it or not, right? Evaluating the credibility and the biases of the sources, synthesizing information from multiple sources, and recognizing the gaps in the existing knowledge. There might be information that is presented to you, but there is always some gap that is there, because you do not get complete information from one source. So recognizing that gap so that you can work on it more. So research itself is a skill. Being able to research properly is a critical thinking skill. Coming to the next one, decision making. When we take decisions in life, a simple decision, say I want to buy a car. When I need to buy a car, taking this decision involves a number of steps. I need to define key, what do I want to do? Buy the car, that is the criteria. Gather the information, which car should I buy according to the government policies, what is allowed, what is not allowed. For example, many people want to buy electric cars or automatic cars, or there used to be earlier, different kinds of engines. Some were allowed, some were not allowed, diesel cars, right? So you need to know the law. You need to know what are the features that are available, what are the features that I can buy within my budget. So you need to consider the short term and the long term goal. Sometimes my budget right now, I might feel, oh, it is easy to buy a car, let me buy a car now, I will be able to give this much of EMI easily. But in the longer term, would you be able to continue to give this EMI for coming 5 years? Around, that is the usual average duration of a car loan. So in the long term, is it good for me to be able to give a interest EMI for 12,000, 15,000? Would I be able to continue with that or not? So consider the short term as well as the long term consequences. Managing the uncertainty and the risk. What if the car engine is not good enough? What if would I have good service, repair agencies near my house? Or like, for example, many people in India rely on Maruti Suzuki. Why? Because it is very, the service centers are located at a number of places. You might have a car problem somewhere. Within 2, 3, 4 kilometers, there would be a Maruti Suzuki service center. So people do think of that risk also कि अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम होगी तो क्या करेंगे, स्पेयर पार्ट मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा, सर्विसिंग होगी कि नहीं होगी, 1 year के लिए सर्विस प्लान मिलेगा कि 5 years के लिए सर्विस प्लान मिलेगा. So you do analyze all the uncertainties and the risk, and then you balance the logic and the intuition. Sometimes मुझे ये अच्छा लग रहा है, मुझे लगता है ये सही होगा. So many a times our gut feeling, our intuition tells us a lot of things. We should not be always ignoring our intuition. I always say that logic and intuition go hand in hand. Like we always say, the heart and the head. So they need to go hand in hand, and then you take a decision. Now, how do we develop these 7 critical thinking skills? Are there any questions till now? Anybody would like to ask anything about these 8 critical thinking skills? Critical thinking skills.
Madam, your slide is very small. It's very
I'll
difficult.
just reflect. Not being able to read it. Is it better now? I have rotated the screen.
Now it is better. Now it's okay.
Okay. Uh, okay, sir. Right. Thank you. So the 8 essential critical thinking skills were analytical thinking. Then we had open-mindedness. Then the next one is problem solving. Then we have reasonal or reasoned judgments, reflective thinking, communication. Then we have research, decision making. Second, please. Decision making. And now we are coming to how to develop these thinking skills. There are 7 steps that I have formed. The first one is identifying the problem or the question. What is happening? Why is this happening? What are the assumptions that I am making? And at first glance, how do I think we can solve the problem? So going by what is the problem? What is the situation currently? Okay. So what is happening? Why is this happening? What are the causes behind it? What assumptions am I making? What am I thinking about it? What are my ideas related to it? And then at first glance, what do I think? How am I going to solve it? The first solution that comes to your mind. So you identify the problem. The second is gather the relevant information. So, as I said, research. You collect all your information related to the problem, find a lot of data, do statistical analysis, and also check the history of that problem. How has it been dealt with earlier, right? Collect all the information and then team up all the inputs that are there. Make sure you gather information from a variety of sources. Like I said, that one source might not be adequate, it might not give you all the information. So you collect your information from a variety of sources and then you compile it. Going on further, you analyze and evaluate that data. The information that you have collected, you need to check, is it a reliable information? Have I got it from the proper resource or not? Like for example, you go on type on Google, am I anxious? How common is stress or anxiety? People have written dozens of articles on it, but are they verified by the American Psychological Association or the Psychiatric Associations or by international classification of diseases or something? No. What we see is कि कौन सा पढ़ने में अच्छा लग रहा है कि हाँ ये सही बोल रहा है, इसकी बात सुन लो, right? So you have to check, is the information reliable? Is it coming from a credible resource? Then how significant is this information? आप अभी लिखो feeling cold and cough, अभी आ जाएगा 10 reasons for it. Feeling heart pain, 10 reasons. Is it actually significant for you? You feel कि मेरे लिए लग रहा है कि थोड़ा uncomfortable लग रहा है chest में. It might just be anxiety, stress, or it might just be simple acidity. Is the information significant? Because they are going to give you 10 problems that you could have. And many times my mother also goes to Google check a lot of her problems that she's having, and when she goes to the doctor and says कि मैंने Google पे check किया था, how annoyed the doctor gets. The doctor says ये Google वाली information मेरे पास बिल्कुल मत लेकर आना, right? So is it significant? Is it relevant or not? Is this information outdated? Because new research is continuing throughout, changes are happening so quickly, so is your information up to date also or not? The next is considering the alternative viewpoints. Am I making any assumption about this information? क्या मैं already पहले से ही कोई assumption बना के बैठी हूँ? Am I being bound by my already existing information? Right? Are there additional variables? Can I do more to it? Can I find other solutions? Is there anything more to it than what I know? हैव आई इवेल्युएटेड द इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम एवरी परस्पेक्टिव? क्या मैंने हर तरीके से सोच लिया है, या मैं बहुत जल्दी डिसीजन ले रही हूँ बिना सोचे समझे? आर देयर एनी व्यू पॉइंट्स आई हैव मिस्ड? सो बिफोर taking any decision, think of all the alternatives. Develop and communication solutions. When we are trying to understand the solution to our problem, we also need to think about the communication solutions, because sharing our ideas is very critical. When we, how a salesperson is good or bad based upon their communication. Are they able to make the other person understand the features, the good and bad of the product that they are trying to sell? So the whole sales and marketing team is dependent upon communication. There is no one who can say that for me communication as a skill is not essential. It is essential for every aspect. As a teacher, हमारे लिए कितना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. We do not communicate with our children. We are not able to explain to them the concepts. We are not able to bridge the gap that is there. Then our children will never discuss their problems with us, right? So communication is essential in every aspect. We need to promote it as a basic ability in our critical thinking skills. By encouraging open dialogue, we must be ready to listen to what the other person has to say. Let it be an open dialogue without any critical analysis of what the other person is saying. Because when we do that, we shut them down. We tell them, ये क्या है, ये तो कोई फायदा नहीं है, क्या बोल रहे हो तुम, इसका क्या मतलब है? So that means we are shutting them down, and they are not going to express themselves further again. Next is reflect and learn from the process. When we are going through the process, after every research that you do, after every analysis that you have made, it is very important that you reflect on it, that this decision I took, this data I collected, this is the outcome that I am following. Is it the best for me? Is it what I want to work on further, right? So you must reflect कि इसके क्या फायदा हुआ, इसका क्या नुकसान हुआ, क्या मैंने सही किया, क्या मैंने गलत किया, इसमें मैं और क्या कर सकती थी. So you have to reflect and learn from the process. During this process, we are learning a lot of new things. So be ready to learn from the process as it is going on, क्योंकि during the process we are learning कि क्या वो अच्छा है, नहीं है, क्या वो सही चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है. During the process ही हमें पता लगने लग जाता है कि हम where we are faltering. So learn from through the process as well. So that is it. These were what is critical thinking, and these are some 7 steps that we can take to improve our critical thinking. There is a lot more that I could add, but if there is any question you would like me to explain any particular point, please go ahead. Okay, so let me just stop sharing for a minute. Okay, so here we are. So, dear friends, I told you we talked about a lot about what is critical thinking and how we can improve it. So now let us just talk about a very important thing, that how do we inculcate it in our classrooms. like in our classrooms there are like I said कि हम syllabus के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा focused होते हैं, तो हम critical thinking को अपने classrooms में कैसे लेकर आए. So like when we talk about research and all in psychology, we have this project that we need to make in our 11th class, and it is a research project that I tell them to do, in which that I tell them that think about what is going to be your aim of the research, कि आप क्या research करना चाहते हैं, आपके पास उसका क्या टॉपिक क्या है आपके पास में. सो व्हेन आई टेल देम टू फाइंड दिस टॉपिक, आई टेल देम दैट इट कैन बी एनी टॉपिक. आपके आसपास क्या हो रहा है, न्यूज में क्या चल रहा है, आप किसी रिसर्च में किसी पर्सन से बात कर सकते हैं, कोई गाइड्स होते हैं पीएचडी रिसर्च कर रहे होते हैं, सो यू टॉक टू पीपल, सो यू फाइंड आउट, यू फाइनलाइज दैट प्रॉब्लम ऑफ योर्स कि दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू डू रिसर्च ऑन. से अ वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल, some children say we want to understand that how there are differences in the personality of people who are into education versus who are into engineering, who are into computer sciences and in different fields. So this is a personality research. So okay, this is a research that has come to their mind because they many times when they come in 11th, they compare themselves with the students of other streams. So they do want to know what is different between them. So they are relating it to themselves. Many times it is related to the current issues that are going on, related to politics, related to new laws that are being made, related to leadership changes that are taking place, or political changes throughout the world. So it is up to them that what problem they decide on. Once they have decided on what research problem they are going to work out on, the next step is to know ki, if I want to do this research, who am I going to do the research on? Who are my subjects? Am I going to do research on students, on people who are working in offices, on old people, on children? Who are my subjects, right? So when you form a problem, you also need to think of other solutions. मैंने problem तो सोच लिया कि मैंने इसके ऊपर रिसर्च करना है, लेकिन मेरे पास आगे क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी, मैं क्या इसके लिए रेलिवेंट इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट कर पाऊंगी, क्या मैं ये रिसर्च कंडक्ट कर पाऊंगी, क्या ये जितना मेरा एम्बिशियस होते हैं, जैसे मैम 300 फॉर्म्स कलेक्ट करेंगे, मैम 500 फॉर्म्स कलेक्ट कर लेंगे. So you have to see, is it going to be feasible also or not? So when I am doing this research in the classes, what I tell them to do is, it's a free will. थिंक कि तुम क्या क्या रिसर्च कर सकते हो. मैं उनको एक बेसिक आइडिया देती हूँ कि ये है, इस एरिया में आप काम कर सकते हो, बट देन आप एग्जैक्टली क्या काम करना चाहते हो, दैट इज अप टू यू. सो गिविंग देम दिस फ्री एरिया टू वर्क इन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. हम एज टीचर्स कई बार बहुत रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर देते हैं, ये कर सकते हो, ये नहीं कर सकते हो, ये तुम्हें अलाउड है, ये तुम्हें अलाउड नहीं है. सो if you want your children to be able to critically think and harness this skill, give them that free area to be able to work on. Guide them wherever required. आज इतना requirement है. If we do hand holding, if we always put the spoon to their mouth कि ये करना है, ऐसे कर लो, गूगल कर लो, ये कर लो, ये easy होगा, तो वो उनके लिए it's not in the best of their benefit. We have to face to be able to work on. So this is the thing. Let them work for their solutions on their own. Second, when they find a solution, always ask them that what are your possible solutions to this problem. अब आपके लिए लग रहा है कि feasibility, मैम हम 500 forms कैसे collect करेंगे? So the feasibility is a issue. So you tell them to find all the possible solutions. You can do research in your school. Talk to friends in other schools also. Talk to teachers who can forward your form on a Google form so that it becomes easier for people to do it and you do not have to travel everywhere and go. So give them an open space. Second, nudge them to find more and more solutions to the problem that has occurred. Next would be that when they occur, एक प्रॉब्लम आ गई और इसके आगे वो नहीं कर पाए, फिर हमारे टीचर्स का होता है नेक्स्ट स्टेप ये कहना, मैंने कहा था ना नहीं ठीक कर रहे हो, ऐसे क्यों करा. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ टेलिंग देम कि दिस इज नॉट द राइट वे, ये तुमने क्या कर लिया, डीमोटिवेटिंग देम, ऑलवेज टेल देम ओके, गो ओवर इट अगेन. where did the problem come? If you need to find a solution, start with it once again. Start where you will find the solution. कहीं ना कहीं आपका कहाँ पे wrong हुआ है, वहां पे आप वापस जाके फिर से काम करो. Encourage them to work on the solution once again, right? So these are some things that we need to do on. And at every solution, at every step, always give them higher thinking questions. Let them research, let them think about it more, let them work out on more and more solutions to different problems. जो भी हम टॉपिक कर रहे हैं डे टू डे, उस टॉपिक के ऊपर हमें उनको कोई ना कोई क्वेश्चन जरूर करना चाहिए, ताकि वो उसके ऊपर रिसर्च कर कर आए और फिर आपको आके बताए. लाइक वंस माय स्टूडेंट केम एंड टोल्ड मी कि मैम, व्हाई डज इंडिया सपोर्ट तिब्बत? So I said, instead of me giving you the answer, which I know, do not worry that I do not know the answer to it. I want you to do a little research on it. And I gave this question to the whole class, that tomorrow you all do research and come and we will discuss it together. So in this way, when instead of just giving answer कि ये लो ये क्वेश्चन आया, ये लो जवाब, उसके ऊपर उनको और ज्यादा क्वेश्चन और ज्यादा रिसर्च करने दो. दैट इज हाउ देयर thinking skills will work. Always providing the solution on their lap is not good for the students. Let them think beyond their perspectives. So that is it. Any question, anything that we can discuss? So I think that is it. Anil sir, up to back to you.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful to listen to you. Any teacher who want to ask any
Thank you,
question?
sir.
So, Shukla,
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was really wonderful. And the way you have narrated the entire matter, sorry, the entire thing, we are sure that we are surely going to implement all these things in our everyday classroom. And very correctly, you have said that the more and more we will remain stubborn, the more and more we will be remaining lag behind, because in this highly paced world, to match with the beat, to match with all this, technically sound preoccupied minds, we have to be very much advanced like them. And all the time, whenever there is a new thing, there is a new trend, always there is a denial first. Be it anything, any medicine, any vaccination, there is a denial first. And rightly, you have said that these AI and ChatGPT, these are also criticized by so many people, but these are useful also. There may be 10 negative sides, but 100 positive sides also. Those we can use in our teaching skills in everyday classrooms. And thank you so much for making us understand that we have to open our mind and we have to be very much receptive to all the new things, to all the new trends. Thank you, ma'am.